Certification authorities can issue certificates. We're going to set up two CAs in this example. We've got computer 1 and computer 2 set up through remote desktop, and computer 1 is going to be our root CA, our first CA, and computer 2 will be our subordinate CA. So to add a CA, you need to go to Add or Remove Programs, Add or Remove Windows Components, and in the list of components, we have Certificate Services. So go ahead and check the checkbox for Certificate Services. And it says, hey, are you sure you want to do this? If you add a CA to this computer, we can't change the machine name or domain membership. So this is a very serious operation. To uninstall a CA is extremely difficult to do and could invalidate all your issued certificates. So whenever you decide to make a CA, make sure that that's the computer you want to be your CA and think of it as being a lifetime decision. So this is going to be a CA for life. And that's the way you should think about it. Now we have our four choices here, and because we have Active Directory, we can choose Enterprise. Remember, Enterprise means the CA will look in Active Directory to authorize certificate requests and various other things. It stores its information in Active Directory as well. So we're going to set up a standalone root. And the reason you should set up a standalone root is that an enterprise root integrates with Active Directory. Normally, root CAs are offline, and a domain controller can't afford to be offline for more than 60 days due to the Tombstone lifetime. So, computer 1 here is a domain controller, therefore I'm going to choose a standalone root. But that will also give us the opportunity to compare standalone versus enterprise. We're going to set up a second CA as an enterprise subordinate. So this will be our root. Let's choose the option to set custom settings to generate the key pair and CA certificate. A CA upon installation has a self-signed CA certificate because it's a root. So you can choose various cryptographic service providers, various hash algorithms, key lengths, etc. We'll just use the defaults, that's fine. What do we want to call this CA? We'll call this our root CA. So root CA in westsim.private. Now root CA, keep in mind, is a standalone CA, not an enterprise CA. Good for 5 years. Expiration date 2009. And now it asks us where we would like to place our certificate database and log files. For performance enhancement, you could push the database and log files off onto separate physical hard drives in the computer. Let's go ahead and click Next and accept the defaults. Now, a good thing to know is that Certificate Services is closely interlinked with IIS. If IIS fails, Certificate Services fails. So it's saying that to install Certificate Services, we must stop the IIS service and restart it, and that's fine. It's also warning us that active server pages must be enabled in IIS to allow certificate services. And with IIS in Windows Server 2003 now, IIS is totally disabled, and you have to specifically enable each part and piece of IIS you would like to use. So ASP pages are possibly dangerous, but for our purposes, this is perfectly fine. So we'll just click yes. We'll enable ASP now. And the wizard has finished, and our CA is now installed. To manage your certification authority, you can go to Administrative Tools. In the list, you should have Certification Authority. So for Certification Authority, here's our root CA, and it's a fairly simple console. First of all, to get a certificate from a CA, a request must be made. So a request is sent to the root CA. The root CA would have those requests in the pending requests folder. If a pending request had been approved, it would be in the issued certificates folder. Or if a pending request had been denied, it would be in the failed requests folder. And then finally, if you have issued certificates and you no longer wish that certificate to be valid, you can revoke a certificate. Let's now install a subordinate CA. So we'll jump over to Computer 2, and on Computer 2 we'll install a subordinate CA. So we'll select Certificate Services. Same warnings apply. And this time we're going to select an enterprise subordinate. So it'll be a subordinate to our root CA, but it's enterprise, meaning it integrates with Active Directory. Now this computer is not a domain controller, so what's meant here is that the CA will store its information in Active Directory across the network and can check Active Directory to verify user and computer information. So what are we going to name this CA? We'll call this Ent Sub CA, Enterprise Subordinate CA. Same questions, database log files. Now here's the key difference. When you're setting up a subordinate CA, you're going to create a certificate request and send that request to a root CA. The root CA will either approve or deny your request to be a subordinate CA. So only the root CA can self-sign a certificate. All other certificates must be approved by a valid CA. So we're going to send this request directly to a CA already on the network. And the CA already on the network is our root CA. So we have root CA on the network, computer 1 Westsim private. Okay. So computer name, FQDN of computer 1. Parent CA would be the root CA that we set up. And we'll click next. Now here we have an error message. It's saying that our certificate request is pending. It has not yet been approved by the root CA. The reason for this is that a standalone CA must have an administrator manually approve or disapprove of certificate requests. An enterprise CA can automatically approve or deny certificate requests by looking in Active Directory. Now our root CA is a standalone root CA. Therefore, we must manually approve the certificate request. So while we're waiting for the finishing of the components wizard, we can jump over to computer 1 and approve the request. So computer 1, here is our certification authority Snap-in, and under pending requests, we have a pending request. And we can right-click the pending request, choose all tasks, and then choose to issue the request. That would be an approval of the certificate request. That seems to disappear, but if we look in issued certificates, there we are, it's in issued certificates. So this is the second certificate created by this CA. The first was its self-signed certificate. Requester name was the administrator of the Westsim domain. And other pieces of information are in here, such as the effective date, expiration date, etc. We'll switch back to computer 2. And we'll wait for the components wizard to finish off. And the components wizard is finally complete. Close out Add Remove Programs, and let's take a look at our CA. So we'll open up Admin Tools, Certification Authority, and there is our Enterprise Subordinate CA. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the service for the Enterprise Subordinate CA. And we've got a green check mark. We can verify that the certificate has been installed properly by right-clicking Enterprise Subordinate CA and choosing Properties. So for the Enterprise Subordinate CA Properties in the General tab, here is our CA certificate. Certificate 0, but if you click on View, and for the certification path, we can see it has been issued by our root CA. So remember, on the root CA, we had to manually approve or issue the certificate to the Enterprise Subordinate CA. And that's how to install CAs.